Ready?
Yeah.
You look ready.
I hope y'all are ready because this is a massive, massive week. Happy Sunday. It's time for Out Weeks In, the spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics, pop culture, movies, news, shows, and we got a lot of all of it to cover. This has probably been one of the biggest release weeks that we've ever had. Might not be the best release week, but it's definitely one of the biggest, and going to unpack it all with my partner in crime, Sector 2815, right after this. Boom, there he is. What is going on, Paul? How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Man, I'm good. Like I was saying in the intro there, it's been a massive week, and I can report, and I'm happy to report that I've actually managed to stay ahead of it, which is surprising considering the sheer volume of content. Now, we'll be straightforward. There's a couple of books that I still need to read, but not many, especially considering how many are released. Not many.
Yeah, I had. Obviously, I did the ones that we do for our deep dive, and I only did like a couple other ones because there was just so much between TVs and movies and other things, to watch this week.
Yeah, I managed to get
them all in.
I read these, and I've got 3 that I didn't. So I didn't do too bad. Didn't do too bad at all. It was a fantastic week. But before we get into it, we'll bring it up again toward the end of the show. But front end, it's a busy week for Sector 2815's YouTube channel as well. We do stuff over there. But Paul will fill you in on all that right now.
Yes. Tomorrow morning, we take a look at the DC Comics Deep Dive. We will take a look at Wonder Woman number 13, Superman number 18, and the Absolute Power Super Sons one-shot. So I'll take a look at that tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. And then this Wednesday on my channel at 9:30 p.m., we have a very special edition of Guess That Key is the Comics Curing Cancer edition, where we have the what I call the triumvirate from Comics Curing Cancer. It is Mark from Legion of Comics, of course, him right there, as well as DJ Links and Rob Fatstacks will be on the show as well, talking about everything that's coming up and everything. And we have a special Comics Curing Cancer gift package that we're going to be giving away to one lucky viewer in lieu of our comics that we normally do. We have Sonic the Hedgehog number 69, the Comics Curing Cancer Miko Suyan edition. We have the Comics Curing Cancer art book signed by Austin LeMay. We have the Ignacio de Maglio print that is inside that book as well. And then we have a Comics Curing Cancer mug that we'll be giving away. So make sure you come by 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday night, and of course we'll be guessing each other keys as well. So
DJ, pray for my
internet.
Yeah, someone's got to. So yeah, and also for more context, if you are a fan of comic book events and you just don't keep up with them, you don't buy into 100% of them, every Monday that DC Deep Dive we do every single event since Dark Crisis we've covered on that show on his channel, so you can go back and even catch up if you're reading Absolute Power but haven't read all the tie-ins. We cover them. You can bridge the gaps between the main title and stuff like that, or just keep up via us going through and reviewing the books and walking through them. It's definitely a fun little way to keep up with events. It's made it more interesting and more enjoyable doing these events when you have other people to talk about them with. That's always a huge bonus.
Yes, and you also realize how important all of them are, because there are things in Absolute Comics in the 8 issues this week that are referencing back to Dark Crisis, which was over 2 years ago. So,
yeah,
very important.
Very, very well crafted event. Very well crafted. And I do want to remind people, you can check the description below. You can find Paul's channel linked in the description, as well as Big Time Collectibles. They're rolling out all their New York Comic-Con exclusives, and it looks like their theme for this year is foil, getting bright and shiny. So be sure to check them out if you're looking for anybody to clean and press your comics. Justin Comics did a post. It looked like he's doing an $8 special right now. So you can submit books for $8. And he also has a annual
membership or something going on.
Yeah, annual membership, a one-time fee, submit as many as you want per year kind of thing. That's for the cleaning and pressing. That obviously doesn't cover submission services, which he does as well. If you want to submit to CGC or CBCS, he can also take care of that for you. And then if you're looking to get into comic books or start picking up comic books and you don't have access to them, ABX Comics and Games has you covered. The local comic shop here in Augusta, Georgia can be your long-distance comic shop today, as they are the community's comic shop. They're also fantastic for tabletop gaming and stuff like that. So be sure to check out their Facebook group below if you're interested in setting up a pull list with them. Reach out to them. Or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll help get you guys connected like butt cheeks. Also, don't forget about channel membership. We're getting close to the end of the month, and I'm terrible about reminding people. There is the channel membership appreciation package that goes out on the first Sunday of every month. I believe that's going to be Comics Curing Cancer weekend. So Comics Curing Cancer is October 4th through 6th. So that'll be the first Sunday in October will be the final day of Comics Curing Cancer. So that's when we'll draw for the September winner. And don't forget, and a huge shout out to all the people that are hosting this year for Comics Curing Cancer. The Friday schedule starts right here on this channel, so be sure to turn on that notification. All of these shows are already listed. You can find them under the live tab. You could go under the playlist on this channel and find every single one of these. But it'll go from here to Izzyverse, to Gary B, to DJ Links. And then Saturday, overnight, all night, CJ's holding it down with the Insomniac Comic Book Theater. Cliff is taking it over at 10 a.m. John's Comics with Kids at noon. Rob with Only Slabs at 2:30. And then Blame Fable, one collection down at 5 p.m. And then we'll get geared up for the first art auction. This is the first year we're doing this, having a dedicated art show this year. So that's going to be fantastic. So you won't have to wait as long to see what certain items coming up. And if you're there for art or there for comics, we got it all separated. And then Sunday, Kicking It with K-Pop is going to hold it down overnight, doing a live art special. And then Breakfast with Brian at 10 a.m. And then the grand finale, the comic book auction, will kick off at 12 p.m. on Rob Fatstack's channel. And it's going to be fun. And if anybody wants to help share it out, we have all those graphics right there. Just message me. I can email you all those graphics so you can run them and promote them in the show. And just even if you can't help financially, you don't have anything you can donate, that's fine. Just sharing, spreading the word is like the biggest help right now, because everybody hates cancer. Everybody. It's literally something that affects everybody, whether it be firsthand or secondhand. You don't have to go any farther than that to find somebody personally directly affected by this terrible disease. And this is the way that the community really can make an actual huge difference. Last year, we were able to raise over $50,000. That's not a small amount of money. That's a substantial amount of money to drop on a program like this that can really impact people directly, immediately with that kind of stuff. And we can't do it without doing it all together. So every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. So say hey to some of the people in the chat. We'll get rocking and rolling. A lot of stuff to cover this week. But what is going on, Las Cruces? The adventurous one, Joseph Michaels. What is up? Ruby G, my guy. How are you doing? Cowabunga to you, good sir. I was looking at an old video from the Comic Jabroni last night, an old live stream. And it was cool seeing the people. Like, I was in the live stream. Burke was there. Panda was there. Ruby G was there. Just reminding me of simpler times. It's getting to where the first days on YouTube you look back on is like simpler times. It was good times. Mr. DJ Links, the one and only. What is going on? Entropy and Comics is here. AR, good to see you. JSS Brooklyn, happy Sunday to you. Comics by the Bay. Yo, I saw Matt posted this beautiful photo on Instagram today, just like sitting in the water, like sunset. He just put paradise. I'm like, yeah, that tracks. That tracks. What is going on? Hector Ortiz is here. What is going on, Brian? Good to see you in the chat, homie. Hope you're doing good. Kenny B, good to see you in here. Hello, hello. Hot dog talked earlier. I'm not getting into hot dog talk. Stephen with the C, what is up, homie? Perry, what's up? What's up? Good to see you. I'm live on my stream in the chat here. Boom. Multitasking. Appreciate you, J-Man. Things were great back then. And also, I went down a trip down memory lane, DJ, and I don't know if you should be saying that because I went back and watched your first video opening the 2 Spider-Man booths boxes. Then I went over and watched Remy Q's first video opening 3 large packages of mail that took him forever to do. Then I went and watched Nick's first video when he actually put himself on camera, and it's something.
I
Like
thought you were going to say, I remember the day when I had to walk 5 miles to get to my live stream, uphill
uphill
both
both
ways.
directions. Yeah. It was funny because in DJ's first video, there's a comment from Remy that insinuated that DJ recommended him go look at his first video, and I went to Remy's, and it was fun reading the comments and stuff. And that was like 1 year after their first video. Now it's been like 4 years. Yeah, that is the recommended way to watch the show, especially if you're streaming. Especially if you're streaming. Relaxing, fall, not fall. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, a lot of stuff to get into. So let's dive right into it. So, Paul, where do you want to start? There was 4 major things that released. All of them made the thumbnail. Obviously, one stands above the rest. And that was the theme of the thumbnail. I think I nailed it.
You want to start there?
Let's start there. Let's do it. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Wow, this has been what they advertise this for close to about 6-8 months now or
Yeah.
so.
Yep.
Limited theater engagement. It's a Fathom event. It screened yesterday for 2 showings, and it will screen again Wednesday for 2 showings at select theaters. But it's the Christopher Reeve story, meaning this isn't Superman behind the scenes. This is the life of Christopher Reeve. And what man, I don't even know where to start or where to go with it.
Yeah, and obviously, since it's the life of Christopher Reeve, you do talk about some of the Superman stuff, obviously, because that is an important part of the story. And it covers the stuff that most people know, about how he. I mean, what people may not know is that he was on an off Broadway with can't think of his name now.
William
William
Hurt,
Hurt. Yep.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels. Yeah, and he basically was going to London to audition for it, and he told William Hurt. William Hurt said, "No, don't do that. Don't do it. You're going to ruin your career if you do that." He basically flew in, did the audition, and then flew back, and he's like, "I got it." So you hear that? I mean, people have heard about they showed the clip from where they asked him about what was it like working for Marlon Brando. He hated working with Marlon Brando.
Hated it.
Yeah, he said
Because
Marlon Brando
he
basically
took
just
it
phoned it in.
serious, and he felt Brando did it. He said he took the 2 million and ran.
Yeah, exactly. So there's all of that, but that's just a small part of what they talk about. It is there is a lot of tragedy, obviously, in his life, but there's a lot of hope too. And that he brings not only to himself but to others. There was a lot of I had never seen. I didn't even know about the movie Rear Window that he did. Rear view window, whatever it was.
Is that
That
the one where he's actually on
where
camera
he is
for the
actually
first
on
time?
camera. Yeah, exactly. In the bed. And they talk about, what happens if the tube comes out of the
Mhm.
ventilator, right? And things like that. And it is just so incredible. There was just so many different, they talked to all of his kids, both the ones that he had with Gay Exton, who he never married, but they had 2 kids with Gay. He had 2 kids with the Gay Exton, and then he had one with Dana Reeves, and they're all there. Just some things that'll break your heart, like when Will, was that his name? I think is
Yes,
Will
the youngest
talks about
kid.
the fact that yes, he had 2 half siblings, but he lost his father, and then he lost his mother like 18 months later. He's like, that was the time. That was when I was alone.
That's when I became alone.
Yeah, there was that. One of
Yeah,
the
for
things that. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say that the it's kind of odd that one of the lines that got me the most was when Glenn Close is talking about. For those of you who don't know, and you may be very familiar with this, but he was very very good friends with Robin Williams. They were roommates together at Juilliard, and so there were a lot of Robin Williams appears in this movie a lot. They both from a standpoint of he was at the Oscars, about a year or less than a year after he had his accident. He appeared at the Oscars, Christopher Reeve. But then Robin Williams would actually have a party at Christopher Reeve's house every single year on the day of the accident to celebrate life. But one of the lines that got me the most was when Glenn Close said, if we hadn't have lost Christopher, we
Robin
probably
would
wouldn't have lost Robin.
yeah.
If Christopher was still here, Robin was still here, and it just got to me because to think that two people, regardless of what sex they are, two people could mean so much to each other. And
Mhm.
obviously, Robin had his own demons that he dealt with,
And they
whatever.
said that that's really what they bonded over
Right.
so much in those later years. And it also like the formatting of it is fantastic. So it starts in two places. The beginning of the movie starts in two places in Chris's life, and it's early in his childhood as well as the day of the accident. And it moves forward from
Mhm.
both of those timelines, hopping back and forth. So you're not on a linear path through this. You're on two separate linear
Mhm.
paths, which is great because it gives you a little bit of reprieve from the weight of the post accident stuff. But when he gets to Juilliard with Robin, Chris make the comment. He goes, "We get there and there's nothing these people can teach Robin. There's
Yeah.
nothing." I'm like, it's just that good.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't know anything about his father, about Christopher Reeve's father,
I
until
didn't
this
either.
movie. And they talk about one of the things that happens is that he told his father that he had gotten Superman, that he was gonna be in a movie Superman, and he was so excited for him
Finally,
because he thought it was Man and Superman, not Superman the comic book. So he thought it was going to be this highbrow type of a play or a movie that was going to be Man and Superman, which is obviously a much different type of a movie than playing Superman the superhero. And because nothing that Chris ever did was ever good enough for his father, and so he thought that for once he had finally pleased him. And when his father realized that it was the comic book Superman, it was right back to where it was before.
yeah, I'm seeing how much like his decisions, his motivation, his drive came from wanting to impress his father was fantastic. But take a pause for the cause real quick. We got Loki dropping in with a $1.99 super chat. Sorry I'm late. No worries at all,
Mhm.
homie. We appreciate you being
Yep.
here. You get some kaiju love. There you go. Reeve Senior was a tool. Yes, he
Yes,
was,
he
and
was.
but it's crazy to look at how like it's when you finally see it, everything becomes so much clearer. Like when you see someone's motivation for everything, you see how all it like sways all of their decisions, and how it ultimately made Christopher such a better person. And that relationship with his father, without that, he wouldn't have been prepared for that tragedy. He wouldn't have been prepared for that role of Superman. Like how we mentioned, he wasn't a fan of Brando after working with him because he took the role serious. No matter
Mhm.
what it was, he was giving it 100%. And he was ridiculously smart, from being book smart to impress his father. And the way that he took the role and he studied the role, and he actually like did the duality of Clark and Superman. And it was great when his oldest son talks about it and they showcase the scene from the theatrical cut of
Mhm.
him considering revealing himself to Lois and taking the glasses off, and how he visually gets taller. His face,
Exactly. Yep.
it changes. And
Mhm.
like you see it, like, and to get to see it on the big screen while they're like pointing it out. We've talked about that here on the channel before. I typically go to the Donner cut when Lois pulls the pew pew on him because you see it happen quickly. It's just like
Mhm.
you blink and it's a different person. But just watching that again and him put the glasses back on, the shoulder slump, the voice changes, the way he carries his face changes, it just shows you how talented he actually was and how much he put into this and why it was such a huge hit. And I didn't realize, because I wasn't there when the movie premiered. Obviously, it beat me by about 10 years, but I didn't realize like the president of the United States
Mhm.
came to the premiere of Superman in a tux. That's how big of a deal this was.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the
Jimmy Carter.
movie the movie made almost $500,000 in 1977, and if you do the inflation scale slider,
Five
that
hundred million dollars.
yeah, 500 million. I'm sorry. And if you do the inflation scale adjuster, that's $2.6 billion.
Mm-hmm.
$2.6 billion movie. If
Yeah.
Superman was released today and had the same reception, it would be a $2.6 billion success. And that's back then when there weren't even as many theaters.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
insane. That's one of the biggest movies financially in the history of cinema.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was just so good. It struck every chord, every emotional chord that you could possibly think. And it really did it told me so much more about Christopher Reeve than I ever knew, and makes what he went through and makes my um whatever you want to call my love for him and esteem for him even greater. And it's funny because there was, and you and I talked about this before when we were recording the deep dive, is there's also a section in there about how even when he determined that he was going to use his accident for good, meaning to raise some funds or whatever, he still had some changes and he still had some things to deal with that he needed to do, because there's a scene in there with what's the name of the movie that he did with the girl there, the paraplegic girl.
I can pull it up.
Okay. Anyway, he contacted this girl who was a paraplegic like he was, and said, "I'd like to do a movie based on your life."
Brooke Ellison's story.
The Brooke Ellison story.
He
And
directed it after his accident.
he directed it, and there's this whole thing that he goes through where he was so focused on trying to find a cure for what had happened that he wasn't actually focusing on what about the people that there is not a cure for but are in the same situation. And
or while you're waiting on a cure,
Right,
you know,
right.
what are the people that are alive today right now? What are we doing for them?
Right. And it took this Brooke Ellison woman to help him realize that. And then it took Dana to tell him, you know what, she's right.
Yeah, it was because and it was cool going through the range of emotions too. Because I'm in the pocket, I'm watching this, I'm like seeing like all this work he's putting in for this research, and then because of the reaction to a promo commercial that they cut, people were in the community for the disabled, for the severe neck injury, the paraplegics and stuff like that. They have like a lifestyle. They have a community where they have a very shared experience, and certain things are more touchy or looked at from a different understanding. And the way that it was being presented as a cure was like it almost implies we need to be fixed. Like not all of us can, and it's saying like we need to. And what was wild was when I initially hear this, I'm getting upset, like I'm getting annoyed by it. I'm like that, but don't you see what he's doing? And then they bring in Dana, who's like, and then Dana stepped in and grabbed him. He's like, no, Chris, they're right. We need to stop and look at it. And I love the perspective that they added where she's living that existence, because it isn't just the people with these that are disabled. It's the people that surround them, their family, their parents, their health team, you know, their programs and stuff. And it took Dana, who is in that position, to point out to this hyper-focused guy, like, we have to do something. And then that's when they brought Dana into the foundation to head over it. I thought that was absolutely amazing. Yeah, and me and Paul touched on that too. So like, I knew that Dana Reeve was not around. I knew that she was passed away. Had no idea that she had a tragic go of it too. And just when I'm watching that, so Dana Reeve was diagnosed with cancer right after Chris passes away, just a few months after. And she ultimately passed away. What was it, like 18 months?
Yeah.
18 months after Chris passed away. Went from being perfectly healthy, no sign, no problem, to stage 4 lung cancer when they caught it at stage 4. And she had passed on within 18 months of his death. And as soon as they said that, I looked at Kyle. I'm like, that's stress. That has to be. I can't imagine. But
yeah, and like I said, I knew she wasn't with us, but I didn't realize how close it was to when Christopher passed around. And it was basically, you know, it came about where she was a singer and she was, you know, doing some singing, and there were some notes that she couldn't get to, and she started, you know, when she tried to sing, she would cough a little bit, and so she thought it was nothing really, or nothing that couldn't necessarily, you know, be cured or medicate with medication or whatever. And that's when they found it, and it was stage 4, and it was like, wow.
Yeah. And then, and ultimately, hey, what's this? You have that.
Hey, Kyle.
Hey.
She gave me some sugars.
Nice.
Are they in bed?
Yeah.
If you get a chance, like Mark said, it is this Wednesday night again at 4 and 7 o'clock. It currently has 100% rating between critics and audience members. At least it did today when I looked at it. So
yeah, it's a flawless documentary, and I want to touch on that too in a minute. But I want to leave this topic on more of a high note. It's a sad. It's so sad because like you lost a hero. Everyone lost a hero. Like on the big screen and in real life. But the way that his life was, he was so driven and so focused on these roles and presenting his career the way he wanted to. He did the same thing tenfold as an activist before the accident, and then even more so after the accident. He's he's always been a fighter for truth, justice, a better tomorrow, the American way, all of it. And it didn't stop. And that drive, that determination, that spirit that just does not quit, it's something that needs to be seen in this film, because they don't hyperinflate anything in this movie. It's just is what it is, and it really left an impactful feeling on me after that. It really puts a lot of things into perspective for you. You walk out of there weak. You really do, because it's an emotional ride, but you feel gratitude, and you feel exactly how he would want you to feel if he was here today. And that's hopeful. And you really do.
Yeah, and he was, although he spoke at the Democratic National Convention, but he got involved with the Bushes and the Clintons and whoever would help him.
Reagan, when he's still on his
Reagan,
feet.
exactly. But there's one thing, they show a clip of him from the Democratic National Convention, and he says, we say that we're a party of family
Family
values, and to me,
values.
that means we're all family and everyone has value.
Yeah, that dude just goosebumps.
Hmm.
Yeah, such a great individual. And to Paul's point, 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I can't imagine, like, and the bias aside, because a lot of people that are going to be watching this from a critic standpoint are going to watch it because they're critics. And
Hmm.
it's being reported as of today that this film is getting set for a wide release this fall. Curveball, isn't it fall
It is today, first day of
today?
fall
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Mhm.
So what it's looking like is happening is because of the response of the film, Warner Brothers has decided to go for an Oscar nomination for this for
Mhm.
best documentary of the year. So in tandem with that, they're looking at having a wide release. So if you're somewhere where it's not showing, or if you can't make it Wednesday, there's hope that
Right.
you might get a wide release, because this
There's
is
hope.
something that you should definitely see it in the proper environment. And the proper environment for this film is the cinema,
Yeah.
is the theater, where you can go completely undistracted, sit in the blacked out room, look at the big screen, get the experience, because the way it's presented is gorgeous. The narrative of this, with that statue that's on the movie poster, and it's
Hmm.
just it
Yeah.
is gorgeous.
Go and see the first use of the DC Studios logo, where you get the Schuster Superman, and then it turns around to the DC logo, and then you immediately
Oh
hear
my,
the first beats of the John Williams
John
theme.
Williams changes everything.
Hmm.
What's going on, Pop Pop? All right. So
Hopefully,
going
is he back from up north, or is he
no, he's trapped.
okay? He's trapped.
I talked to him today. He said he's fighting to get back below the Mason Dixon.
Okay.
Literally said that.
Well, safe travels whenever you manage to get back.
Yeah. What is going on, Phil? Just popping in to say hi. Heading home tomorrow. You come back early? I thought he was coming back Tuesday, but I guess we'll be home tomorrow.
There
Perfect.
you
The
go.
kids are ready to see you, that's for sure. All right, let's slide back up here to PTT. What is going on, Promiscuous Time Traveler? Good to see you in here. He's coming in to troll a little bit, but we are going to play to it. That means segueing, going
There you
from
go.
like probably like one of the most like heartfelt, emotional, top quality. Just went from talking Oscars to Agatha all along. Agatha all along. A new series from Disney Plus. I think it releases on Tuesdays. At this point, I can't remember, but they dropped the first two episodes of Agatha this week. Paul, did you watch them yet?
I did. I watched them both. What I will tell you is, I know that we've, in leading up to this particular series, we have definitely been uh, on the not very good side. What I will say is, I feel as though it was better than I was going to give it credit for, but I'm just really not interested in the character at all. There are definitely, if you liked WandaVision, there are definitely some call outs to WandaVision from, the different series that are referenced and things like that. The whole start of the first episode is kind of done in like an episode of The Killing. If you ever watched The Killing, which is a Danish crime drama, so it's done in kind of that type of a vibe. Um, but overall, I mean, I may still watch it just because we'll be here on Sunday nights. But um, it really it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it really is not doing anything for me.
Yeah, it's like I put out the little post after I watched it stating it wasn't there's nothing positive to share about this. There's no reason for me to reach out to anyone and say, hey, check out this show. There is literally zero reason in the world to message someone or call someone and say, hey, did you watch Agatha? You need to check it out because there's nothing to fill that blank in with. That being said, there's nothing like inherently bad with the show. I would honestly say it feels like a soulless show by committee where they're just wasting money for no reason whatsoever. Uh, Catherine Hahn was just uncomfortably weird
Hmm.
in the crime drama part of it because she just doesn't fit that. She's walking around with duck lips the whole time, just it's just goofy. The whole thing with the crime, the what is it called? The police procedural crime drama. That's played out. We've already done that in
Yeah.
WandaVision, so now we're doing it again. Who cares?
Yeah, I
The
mean, there were certain things like Phil Ailing asked why the kid can't say his name. I think he's Wiccan. He
He is
can't say his
wicked.
name because he's Wanda's son. So that's why
Mhm.
he can't say his name, or what his history is. Um, and I mean, there were definitely, I mean, as soon as you saw the first scene with the body that had the black fingertips, like, okay, that person has touched the Darkhold.
Yeah, well, it's
That's why.
clearly Wanda. She was wearing
Yeah,
the green hoodie and everything.
right.
So it was one of those times where you're watching something, you're waiting for the show to catch up to you. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we get it. So the first episode was kind of, in my opinion, just ridiculously slow and boring. Like I thought it was kind of funny, like that Agatha's walking around playing out this detective character, and everyone in the town is just going along with it. They're
Mhm.
not in the spell, but they're like, you've been calling us by weird names for the past 3 years. That's not our name, but we deal with it. And thought it was weird that she walked outside naked and some little girl is sitting there oogling at her. I'm like, come on, Disney, y'all gonna be in some Diddy tapes. Disney's gonna show up in some Diddy tapes. It's gonna happen. But the second episode is where I felt like it really started what this show is going to look and feel like,
Mhm.
and it's just fast food TV show by committee. There's going to be parts of it that I'm sure are going to be funny, but it's soulless. And I hate to say that, but I can't help saying it because it's the truth. I
Mhm.
watched it and watched a show on Netflix called Chaos in the same day, where after sitting through one episode of like the highest quality production of the exact same drama, the exact same genre, literally the same genre, you're dealing with magic, you're dealing with a wide cast, you're dealing with all kinds of sorts of magic per se, but it's actually good. So like it got heavily contrasted by other stuff really fast. Chaos on Netflix is a 9.5 out of 10. It's like 8 episodes,
Eight
one
episodes,
season.
right? Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum is in it. Clifton Kirk, something like that. Phenomenal with Poseidon in it. Just it's really good. I
Yeah.
can't suggest that enough. When Paul, no rush on him, but when he gets around to finishing that, we'll definitely
Yeah.
come back around to talk about that. There's a lot to talk about with
I,
that one, but
I think Loki was watching a different show.
I couldn't finish the first episode. LOL.
I
My
couldn't finish the fifth episode.
oh, the fifth episode. It sounds you sound like you're watching Chaos. Yeah, but if you were, you probably finished it. It's a good show. No spoilers for Tulsa Kings. I have not watched it yet because I just got Paramount Plus back. Tulsa
Oh,
Kings.
that's
That's
Sylvester Stallone.
Stallone. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet either. I just saw that that's on there.
Season 2 just came out, I think. Just started.
Dude, that's fair. A lot of people love witchy stuff, and it's the right time of year for it.
Right.
But I said it before, like this hocus pocus, this is not.
Right.
And you can probably genre it a lot to that, like not too heavy, lighthearted, fun characters, singing witches. It just doesn't do anything for me. This isn't for Marvel Comics fans. It's not.
Yeah.
This is for people that like to get pumpkin spice lattes, but those people don't watch Disney Plus. So this doesn't have an audience. You're going to have people that are just going to they feel the need to defend stuff because I want to defend it. And it wasn't terrible, so I call it good. It's just one or the other. But
Yeah. I think I'm going to do what I said I was going to do last week, and I said I'm going to go back and watch the Werewolf by Night again.
yeah, that. Dude, the kids love that one even like that. I haven't watched it in color yet because we all have enjoyed it black and white. We've done it a few times. Holy smokes. I agree with Mark on something. Chaos was the best thing I've seen in like 9 months. Oh, I completely.
I'm halfway through episode 2 now.
Oh, it's so good. So good. And I was telling Paul, like, I don't want to get into it because there's so much to unpack with that show, from performances to story to cultural impact and stuff. But I will say, on a cultural impact level, that's how it's freaking done.
Mhm.
That is how it's done.
The
So
guy who
good.
plays the guy who plays Hades is the same guy who played Ares in Wonder Woman.
Yes. It's amazing, isn't it?
He plays Greek gods all the time.
Yeah. Oh, DJ, check out Chaos. I've been mentioning it. It's for wine moms with the low T dubs trying to get with said moms. Could be accurate, but those aren't the people that watch D plus though. So it's weird. It's a yes, everything about that. There's literally not one bad thing to say about Chaos. So impressive. Let's move on to something else though, because we got a lot to cover tonight. Switching back over to movies. There was another big release this week for movies, and that was with the brand new Transformers 1. Transformers 1. And Stephen with the C, hang in there. That's next. That is next. Transformers 1 is going back to the earliest days of the stories for any of these characters. I believe even for like people that follow it in the animated stuff, they've never actually gone back and told this origin story in this way. Paul, you double featured Saturday, right?
Correct. I saw Transformers 1 and then I saw Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, so this was fantastic. Now you have the live action movie, so a lot of people was wondering how this is going to tie in or play in. I'm still not 100% sure if they're going to keep this as its own animated thing or what, but it completely stands on its own, being that it goes back all the way
But
to the beginning.
but it is also produced by Michael Bay and Steven Spielberg.
Michael Bay for the win, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many people are so mad that Michael Bay is still attached to all this, and it still just continues to be amazing financial hits. Like it's just crazy. Transformers is like people don't realize it, but it was $1 billion movie franchise in its own thing, pulled from another source material before the MCU, before DC connected all their stuff, before the first Avengers. We already had like multiple Transformers movies, and they were already banking $1 billion at the box office. So it's really the social experiment for stuff like that. I think when you start sourcing from comics and the bringing them into this, I don't know, it's good. But yeah, this was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I gave this an 8.5 out of 10. You follow Orion Pax, who is Optimus Prime before he has any kind of power or all spark or anything like that, or the matrix of leadership before he can transform. Him and his good friend D16, which is will be one day be known as Megatron, as their miners on Cybertron. It's a desolate world that's after a big war with the previous primes against the Quintessent, that were like an alien race that came in, and they're
The
all
miners
living.
the miners are all they have no cogs. That's why they're all miners.
Yeah, they have no cog, which is the mechanism inside of a transformer that allows them to transform. And they're all living under a lie. They're the last Prime, Sentinel Prime, who is actually in part 3 of the live action movies. He's their fearless leader who's helping them keep on with their daily routine to keep everything going. Energon is no longer flowing on Cybertron, so you have to mine for it. It turns out he has a deal with the alien invaders who have taken over Cybertron, and they discover this plot, and they set out to try to right those wrongs. That's where things split, where Optimus is wanting to just do the right thing and correct what's happening. D16 wants sheer revenge, and not since episode 3 have we seen a tragic descent like this, in my opinion. With the story of Anakin in episode 3, you know it ends with Darth Vader. With this, you know it ends with Megatron, and they go from being best friends, brothers, co-workers, to those defining moments where D16 does not see things the way Orion Pax does, and he makes a decision that you can't go back from. And there's like a couple of those defining moments along the way, and you feel it each time, where you're just wanting him, just like, don't do it, and he does it, and then you're thinking, well, you're not too far gone yet, just tighten up. And ultimately he doesn't, to the final point where
Till his eyes turn red.
yeah, they get their cogs, they're able to transform in an act of anger. He has his arm out and a gun just manifests, transforms just naturally, which I thought was great. And then at the end, his eyes turn red, and he ultimately drops Optimus Prime down a hole into the center of Cybertron because he was quote unquote done saving him. And he reemerges as Optimus Prime, and you get a cool fight, and you get to see how he takes over Cybertron and sends Megatron off, and it ultimately is the beginning of the war between those two for Cybertron. It was really good. The action was fun in it. Had a lot of heart. The performances were great.
It was funny too.
Surprising. Yeah.
Badassatron.
Yeah, Badassatron. What's crazy is we've gone for years wanting to hear Bumblebee talk. It only took, 90 minutes for us to beg for him to stop talking?
Yeah, exactly.
Adventures One said he's seen it 3 times now. 10 out of 10. Fight me. Nice. I think Marvel is onto something where they use fringe characters to make stories that have nothing to do with comic book storylines. Can't wait for Deathlock show where he flips houses. That's accurate. But yeah, what do you think of this? I know you're not necessarily are you not a Transformer guy?
Yeah. No, but it was. I mean, it followed if you've seen any movies, it followed basically that, as soon as he says, "Boy, I wish I could transform someday," it's like, okay, you know what, you're gonna transform before the end of the movie. There were definitely things that were that I actually did like. Keegan Michael Key, he could have said, "Yeah, I got knife hands." Steven, you killed Steven.
Oh god, that was there's so many legitimate funny moments, and it really plays to an entire audience, kids and adults alike. The theater we were in, there was adults and kids because mine were with me, and we were all cheering at the same times. We went to premiere night. It was awesome. It was a great experience.
Yeah, people clapped at the end of mine. You see the obviously, you see Megatron in the beginning of the Decepticons and everything at the end of the movie. So, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, we get to see like a lot of familiar characters. Like Starscream is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this whole like band of I guess you'd call them Autobots for now, that are out in the sticks on the surface where people don't live, and they're like holding like their own resistance against the quintessence and stuff. And it consists of the future Decepticons basically, and you had Starscream, Soundwave, and my favorite guy, like Shockwave. Yeah, he was actually hilarious. He's only the cool, calculated, villainous one, and he was hilarious.
Yeah, and it's like Sonic Wave, Shockwave. Is there anybody here who doesn't have Wave in their name? Raise your hand.
It's funny when Alita starts to rally him, and Shockwave's like, "Why should we follow you?" And she just hits him in the face. Yeah. I'll follow you.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. You get to see all the things you would expect to want to see, the transformation from Orion Pax to a Transformer to Optimus Prime, and the moment that he is gifted the Matrix of Leadership, which that's what everyone's after. Sentinel is trying to find it. These lowly Autobots are going to seek out to try to find it. And ultimately, just like in Transformer Revenge of the Fallen, that was actually in that movie where Shia LaBeouf, Optimus dies, Shia goes out and finds it in Jordan, and it just disintegrates into dust. And not till he gets it near Optimus does it reconstitute and go to him, because it has to choose you. It's almost like a Green Lantern ring, just not just anybody can pick it up and use it. And that's how the Matrix was. So when this tragic corpse of Optimus falls into the center of Cybertron, you get this beautiful moment of Cybertron opening up as he's falling. He just falls to the core where, what was it called? Like Maximus or something like that, or Maximal is the original Transformer Prime that created. He folded his own body into Cybertron, so his essence is the core of it, and it sees in Optimus, in Orion, what it takes to receive the Matrix of Leadership. And when he gets it, and he rebuilds and locks together, and he comes flying out of the center of the earth like a missile, that landing was epic. It was super epic. I love Optimus Prime, but Bumblebee was my absolute favorite in the movie. Why did you destroy the door? It was like that when I got here, right? Right? Yeah, Primus, there it is. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was hilarious. Seeing he just busts into the command center, starts tearing everything up. It's like that when I got here, right? Right? And yeah. Bumblebee was crazy. All right, switching gears. What I think quality-wise is the most impressive thing I've seen in a hot minute. That was HBO Max. Premiere of Penguin was this Thursday, starring Colin Farrell and a all-star cast of just ridiculous performances, like shockingly good performances. But the first episode aired, and this picks up right where the Batman ended off with the waters slowly receding out of the city. The family is in shambles. Falcone's been killed. The rest of the family is trying to just like get the pecking order and stuff. And Oz is going to attempt to make his ascension to the top of the crime in Gotham. What do you think of this one, Paul?
I really liked it. I mean, I think, and I said this when the movie came out. If you did not know that was Colin Farrell, you would not know that was Colin Farrell. They just cover him in so much prosthetics and makeup and things like that. Um,
And
it
then
was
it's the
great.
performance too, right? It's not
Yeah,
even just the
exactly.
look. Like if you close your eyes, it's not Colin Farrell either.
Right, exactly. There were lots of things to like about if you're a Batman fan. You can it like you said, it takes over basically at the end of the first movie, and they make a distinction to say that the part that was at the part of Gotham that was flooded was where the worst parts of Gotham City. The where all the rich people are, they're still fat and happy where they are.
And it was
Um,
also the part of the city where he grew up, we found out.
Yeah, and there were things that like come out like when he's sitting there, he goes to try to find a file on the Falcones, and he goes into the thing and he finds the file and everything. And Falcone's son shows up, who is now running the mob, and he's got a gun pointed at him, and he kind of talks him into sitting down and talking and things like that. And they talk about certain things, and he's buttering him up and things like that. And then he starts to laugh at him, and out of nowhere, he just blows the guy's head off,
Just
basically.
unloads his
Exactly, just comes out
blows
of
him in the
nowhere.
head. Because the guy laughed at him. He tells this story of like being remembered, leaving an impact, and he
Mhm,
tells a story of this guy in his old neighborhood who was generous.
mhm,
And when he died, like the neighborhood brought out like a parade for him and stuff, and he was trying to talk sense to this kid, like because it was one of those situations where like this revered, respected crime boss passed away, and his screw up son gets the position. He's got a drug and alcohol issue. He's addicted to the drops that were a big part of
mhm.
this Gotham and stuff. And Oz is trying to talk to him like a real person. And the kid just laughs it off, and Oz just unloads in him. And that's where this episode takes off. It's getting rid of the body, uh, accounting for where you were when he died, and it's wild. It seems like there's no love lost between any of the people inside this house whatsoever. I'm resubscribing to HBO Max ASAP. I've only heard good things about Penguin. It's fantastic. I
It
watched
really
the
is.
first episode and I immediately started thinking Emmys,
Mm,
Emmys.
yeah.
HBO is going to clean house this year.
Yeah, and there are. I mean, if you like to find Easter eggs or Easter eggs too, there's a scene where he goes into Burgess Jewelers, which
Yeah,
obviously is Burgess Meredith, and the sign next to Burgess Jewelers has a guy with a monocle on, which again is a nod to Burgess Meredith from the '66 Batman. So yeah, there's just so many good things, and then the whole thing with these thugs try to steal the tires off of his car, and he basically starts shooting at him and scares him away, except for one kid who then basically decides he is forced into going with the Penguin, but as things go along, he kind of latches onto the Penguin and wants to show himself that he has what it takes to do whatever is necessary to get ahead. Um, and
and
so
that
it,
was an homage to Jason Todd all the way.
yep,
Penguin walking out,
exactly.
the kids jacking his tires, to the quickly retconned origin of Jason Todd. Originally, he just had Dick Grayson's origin story. Dick Grayson
Right,
actually comes to see this this flying Todd family, and
right.
killer croc and goons cause deaths to people. But after Crisis, they retconned that to Jason being the street kid that was jacking the tires on the Batmobile.
Yeah, that foot was kind of nasty.
It was. I haven't watched it yet. Is this the one where he's raised by penguins or the circus? Because in the Tim Burton one, they went with both, which was a crazy choice. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And unfortunately, as is with anything that's worth watching, it'll premiere on Sunday nights
Exactly. Episode
on
2 is
HBO.
next Sunday night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Was this a 6 or 8 episode engagement?
I think it's 6. I think.
limited series, 6 episodes. Very, very interested to see where this goes. They're already talking about potential other spin-offs, things that they want to work on inside of this Batman epic crime saga. And I'll be honest with you, as excited and as much as I'm looking forward to stuff in the DCU, I want this to play out for all it's worth. This
Mhm.
Matt Reeves take on Batman, I want every bit of this they have to offer at this point. I love the Batman. This is already, it's the right vibes, it's the right feel. You have to change the dynamic and the tone up of stuff because we get used to it. It gets played out. You stop being creative. You stop trying. Just look at Agatha. It's a perfect example of just carbon copy by committee kind of thing. And this is different. This isn't lighthearted. It's not campy. There's little chuckle moments in it, but it comes from places of not traditional humor.
Right.
Like
Speaking of Matt Reeves, he announced that he finished the Batman 2 script this
script
week.
is done. Yeah, script is done this week. But yeah, so as of this week, we've officially have the first 2 properties under the new DC Studios release on the same weekend. We had
Hmm.
the Superman Christopher Reeve story and the Penguin, both of which, when you watch them, you get to see the beautiful DC Studio logo. The DC Bullet is back, and I can't tell you how right that feels. It just like now okay, everything's right with DC again. It seems like they're in the right
So
direction
it's
with all
8
this.
episodes from what Joe says. So
Oh, thank you, Joe.
yeah. Yeah, and that was a deliberate choice, obviously, by James Gunn and the people at DC because it harkens back to the '90s, which is really kind of in a lot of ways when DC was in its prime. Um, so they're trying to, and it's a good time to do it too with the All In initiative. That's when it starts. The first time you should see it on a comic book is on DC All In. So it's kind of a good time to be DC, I think.
And before they make Matt Reeves' Kite Man into a series, and keeping with the theme of DC, I did see where it's being reported that the first trailer for Superman is rumored to be during the Super Bowl, which that seems strangely close to the release of the movie.
Yeah. Well, the movie is July, right?
Yeah, it seems close to it. You don't think we'll
Yeah.
have a trailer before 4 months out?
Yeah. Well, it's still 5 months. It's 5 months, right?
Okay.
February to July.
Yeah, well, it just depends
Um,
on when in the yeah, February 9th. Yeah.
yeah. And he also David Corenswet actually said too that there is a Superman appearance in the Supergirl movie.
That's way down the road, right?
Yeah, they haven't even started filming it yet, or maybe they have started filming it, but um,
Well, I'm excited for it. I'm like, we got to get a lot closer before I really feel like any kind of
yeah.
major excitement. And then, did you see the official release date for Creature Commandos? I don't know if that went, but it's December 5th. I don't know
Mhm.
who's keeping up with that. So that's a little bit far away, but not too far away. And they're filming
Hey,
Peacemaker. Do you have any word on when that's coming out?
I do not. Creature Commando seemed like that would have been a perfect Halloween type of a movie, of a series to release.
Yeah.
So,
Well, being that they're just like it's just Suicide Squad, but
mhm.
I'm interested for it. That's our first return of Rick Flag. So is Agatha perfect? No, but by committee, you have at least admit that the committee is pretty weird. Yeah, wouldn't argue that point whatsoever. Wouldn't argue that point whatsoever. February 9th probably gives them time to finish enough effects for the commercial. Yeah, I think that man, I do like the structuring that's happening at DC. There's a couple of James Gunn's pretty active on social media, and he made a couple of comments this past week. They would never ever allow filming to begin on any property that is not 100% scripted and approved and ready to go. That they are not doing this fast and loose stuff with any of their stuff. It'll get delayed. It'll get pushed back. It'll whatever needs to happen for it to be done the right way. And I very much like the direction of that. This guy's like trying to forge his legacy right now. Like it really seems like it. He knows what's at stake,
Mhm.
and I think he's got a real opportunity here. Mark Waid came out and talked about the script of Superman. Apparently, he was able to get a chance to read it. Did you see that?
Yeah, he said he thinks that it hits all the right notes. So
I approve. If Mark Waid approves,
Yeah.
I approve. Like,
He's like
what
a
else you
walking
need?
DC encyclopedia.
He is. He also, I don't know if he was supposed to, but he confirmed crypto.
Yes. Yep.
You know, it's funny. Some people in chats are like, "Crypto's going to be in it." I'm like, "Well, good luck getting his first appearance, y'all."
Yeah.
All the Marvel fans are about to learn how important or how expensive DC books can be because the first
Mhm.
appearance of a dog,
Right.
not a cheap book, not a cheap book. I've watched that Matt Reeve Batman a bunch of times. I have too. I love it. I
Mhm.
absolutely love it. But it's good stuff. Let's see what else we have in here. It looks like we're switching into got a couple more things in the movie news. Speaking of Batman, did you see the little teaser for this?
Yeah.
I'm excited because I know my kids will be excited. AR, I know you're a Sonic guy. You read Sonic with your kids. What do you think of this? Is it going to be Sonic or is that Shadow as the Dark Knight? It doesn't really
Yeah.
reveal
Yeah.
anything. You see a goon run into an alley and then the eyes behind him and out walks the Sonic Knight.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I can't wait, to be honest with you. Um, I was just actually watching something. The good thing about Batman, I think, and about Sonic, but the good thing about Batman is you can put Batman in almost any situation and he can work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as much as people may like or not like, he worked in the '60s for what he was in. He worked in the '70s, he worked in the '80s as the Dark Knight. He's worked.
He's
You can
working
put him
right
anywhere.
now.
Exactly, he's working right now because
Yeah.
from what I hear, there's like 20 different comic books coming out between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, if you're a
Um,
channel member, be sure to check out some of the content that's waiting for you because that video probably won't be till next week.
yeah. Um, so and I'm I I have liked some of his issues that he's done with Scooby Doo. That
Dude, the
he just
cartoons when he appeared in
yeah
that were some of the best.
yeah
Like when the Three Stooges appeared, but when Batman appeared, that was the Globetrotters were in an episode, but the
yeah
Batman and Robin ones were the best with Joker and Penguin doing the little flipperoo on the bridge and stuff. And
hmm
yeah, those are fantastic. But I think it'll be fun. It really just talks to the strength of these franchises. Batman is obviously he has to be like the biggest name in superhero today.
hmm
I think that Superman is the most important and biggest name in history, but as far as today, it's got to be Batman. And it talks to the strength of the Sonic franchise. We're about to be getting that third movie. And that just reminded me, I got posters for the kids. I left them in the car. I'm Batman. I'm Sonic. And I got to go fast. It's like the Ricky Bobby Batman. I like to go fast. And lastly, in movie news, I think they announced the official Steelbook release for Deadpool and Wolverine. We don't have a date from what I can see from a couple sources that said to watch the Target websites or Target, as I like to call it. But it's two different Steelbooks to choose from. It's same interiors, but which cover are you
I
going to
like
go with kind of thing?
I like the covers say they're not a money grab at all where it says collect both limited edition steelbooks.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not gonna collect both, or am I? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like these things are gonna be like some of these steelbooks, man, they get collectible, they get hard to get. I still haven't picked up a copy of Dune 2. I'm not paying that much for a brand new movie. Damn scalpers go after these things. But I definitely am gonna do my best to get the one with Wolverine in the bigger image, the one on the right there.
hmm
Absolutely dig it. It looks fantastic. I'm really excited for that. I'm trying to champion physical media as much as possible here. Amazon had it up, but before anyone could order them, they pulled the listing. Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't order from Amazon anyways. I don't like Amazon. They just don't care what they put in the boxes. And
Yeah.
when I'm ordering collectibles, the packaging matters to me. And Amazon doesn't consider packaging the product. It's only like if you get a McFarlane figure, it's only the toy. If the box get damaged, they say the item's not damaged. Like that's crazy. The box is the item. Like everything that McFarlane produced and you put into your box is the item, and they don't see it the same way. And steelbooks can get dinged up and stuff.
hmm
I'd rather go through Groove Media, which they probably won't have it on there because
There's the Walt Disney. Yeah, they want to have
you
it.
know, or I'll go through Walmart.com.
hmm
Joe put me onto Walmart.com. They're a great source. Groove sells out fast with stuff too. You gotta be quick. Gotta be
hmm
quick. But you put me on a Groove. I absolutely love that. And they run so many great sales and stuff.
hmm
So many. Let's see what else we have in here. A couple of things in comics that I thought was very fascinating, very interested. Do you see this?
I did see that.
What did you think?
I'm all for it. I think if we could get another Green Lantern, Green Arrow, but this is the world's finest here. Jeremy Adams again.
Hmm.
Um,
The
so
modern goat.
exactly, yeah. So it's going to be set in the world's finest series that or timeline, the kind of nebulous timeline that they're doing in
Mhm.
World's Finest.
It's
So
canon, it's main universe, but it's at
yeah,
an unspecified time in the past.
right,
And it's Mark Waid that crafted it. So it's
right.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm all for them. Anything that harkens back to the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams stuff, I'm all for.
Now, and this is just a one shot, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, but I'm excited for that as well. You never have too much green, that's for sure. And then another one that I'm big excited for is the rollout of the new gods. We're getting close to all in. Absolute Power is almost over. About to go all in at DC Comics. Ron V is taking over and bringing us back the new gods. And they said it will act as a grand unifier for the
Hmm.
new DC universe, bringing unexpected characters and consequences into play. It looks like we're going to have a couple of books that'll be ongoing titles that are almost sound like they're going to be mandatory for keeping up with the greater continuity. Justice League University being Unlimited being
Unlimited.
one
Yeah.
of those, which as it should be, your
Mhm.
premier team book should be a must read for your company's fans. If you're a Marvel fan and you're making Marvel comics for Marvel fans, Avengers should be mandatory reading. That's crazy to have an Avengers book as throwaway or a Justice League book as throwaway. So I'm happy to hear that. And with them talking about the new gods being such an important part, and Ron V was talking about how he's going to really piggyback off of Kirby's time with the characters specifically and kind of build off of some of those things and bring in some new elements. It has me really, really excited. Ron V seems to be one of those those deep thinker kind of writers. You know, this isn't fast food comics. You're not picking it up for the exceptional fight, fast pace. I'm going to read this book in 3 minutes. You're about to get a full on story. He's going to dive into lore. He's going to flush out characters, and he's going to give you an actual
Yeah.
full length story. He's not
His,
writing for graphic novel
his
format.
his Detective Comics run, with 24 issues or whatever it was, is
One
one
story.
long big story. But the other reason why I also think that New Gods may be important too is because the Absolute Universe is based off of Darkseid.
Yeah, the events of the death of Darkseid, which
Right.
what who knows what kind of stuff that'll cause over in New Genesis. But
Mhm.
Metron, White Ray, Orion, Barda, they're all back. High Father, obviously.
Mhm.
I'm not sure who's doing the art for this series, but I'm all in for it.
Yeah. What else did they? There's a Metamorpho series that's coming as well.
Yeah, that Ian Bertram cover. Holy crap, dude.
Mhm. Yeah. So there's that. So the solicitations came out for DC on Friday, and they announced the Metamorpho, the New Gods. Trying to think what else they announced. Um,
I gotta pull this thing up. This is wicked good. Let's see if I can get it. Do. Ian Bertram's caught my attention in a major way. You know, he did the 1 in 100 for Transformers or Void Right Transformers 1. And then Ian Bertram did he has the 1 in 25 for Absolute Batman that's coming out. And I picked up this Ian Bertram Hulk variant for the Legion League this month because it's just stunning as well. Like his art is just something like different about it. It just hits different, but it was absolutely amazing. But this Metamorpho cover that he did, it just it
and
just
it's
hit.
being and it's being written by Al Ewing.
Oh wow. So that can be hit or miss. There's some of Al's stuff that I absolutely love.
Hmm.
Absolutely love. And then some of the stuff that I just wasn't a big fan of. Ironically enough, his Venom run that him and Romby worked on together, I did not enjoy, but I think that was a bad idea to have two guys trying to tell one story, alternating issues. That
Yeah,
didn't
and
work.
then there's a new Challengers of the Unknown coming out in December.
Yeah, I saw that with the red suits, and they're going to unfortunately it has the DC Trinity. They
Mhm.
threw Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in there to actually sell the book. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. I thought that was an interesting take. Joe says Walmart is no better, bro. I've had good luck with Walmart, but I also haven't had to deal with Walmart customer service because I've had good luck with them. I've dealt with Amazon, and after that, if I have alternatives, so there's no need to go back to where I had a bad experience.
Yeah, Walmart. The thing with Walmart, if you go into Walmart, it can look like they're not getting any shipments at all because half of the rows can seem as though they're empty of the DVDs and the
Well, and also if you're
Blu-ray.
ordering from them, I think you could, if you have an issue, you can take it to the store, can't you?
Right.
Like with Amazon, you don't have that option. That's also a convenient thing. Heroes for Hire said they need to bring back the Justice League Unlimited animated series. That would be awesome. Yeah, I think that's was a calculated choice to use that title.
Mhm.
They'll bring it back. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. I hope they
just
do.
like
That'd be
just
cool.
like in the series, basically you didn't know from week to week what heroes you were going to see. I think Mark Waid is going in with the same um, feeling as though the entire DC universe is up for grabs, to show up in his issues,
Yeah, he
while
did.
still maintaining that core group.
Yeah, he did some interviews this past week where he talked about like wanting to make sure it's kind of a revolving door and wanting more, not necessarily obscure characters, but we see Green Lantern all the time. So let's get in Star Sapphire and let's
Mhm.
showcase how like she's kind of interchangeable in the sense that she has like the same base power, but there are differences, and he's going to show those differences and show things that she can do that Hal isn't able to do, being on the different light spectrum and stuff. But I'm still just like super excited just to get Captain Atom on the team. I think that
Mhm.
that's
If
like
he, if he
hopefully
if he
once,
survives Jetty Sparks.
yeah, yeah. So hopefully, I'm hoping that like once we get the book rolling, we kind of slide away from the Trinity a little bit, and
Mhm.
let the other characters be a little prominent. Maybe let the Trinity be like point men,
Mhm.
and just like at the final of the arc, bring the whole team in. But I hope they do a great character showcase with it. Like this arc is focused, like this character is going to stand out and have to deal with it, and people deal with their problem, kind of thing. But I don't know. I'm excited for it. The covers for it look fantastic. The creative team on it is amazing. There's just a lot to be excited for right now.
Mhm.
A lot of good stuff coming. But that's all I got. You got any other news to hit before we dive into some of these books? These books,
I can't think of anything.
good little bit of stuff to cover. That is a dope cover. It's just
Definitely.
It's crazy. Look at the one leg melting, the earth leg.
Mm.
That's just nuts. Anyways, yeah, it was a pretty solid week. Remind everybody again, we had 3 absolute power installments: Superman, Wonder Woman, and the one-shot Super Son. Paul and myself have recorded the deep dive on this, and that'll post on his channel tomorrow at 10 a.m. You can keep up with any and all DC events and everything that ties into them over on his channel at the DC Deep Dive. And I guess it's only right to start it off with the Batman Day book from this week, right?
Yeah.
What'd you pick up for Batman Day?
I picked. It's over in my other pile, but I picked up the Long Halloween Zero.
All right, I'll show it then. So we got our first installment to the upcoming Jeff Loeb Long Halloween, Last Halloween. This is issue 0. I think it'll release again in a few weeks, but
Yes.
if you were lucky enough to get to the shop on time, you could pick up a copy. This was not a free one.
Nope.
This one had a price tag on it, and it's going to be worth every penny. Did you get a chance to read it yet?
I have not,
Neither have I.
but I
I was
did. I bought the foil one as well.
this one.
Yeah, that one.
So this one is just the Long Halloween reprint.
Right.
So that was part of the freebies this
Right.
year.
Hmm.
So you have the Long Halloween 2024
Right.
reprint,
Hmm.
and they had a foil option for it. So I picked up one of those, and this one is being given away. It's going in the Legion loot.
Nice.
I got me just a freebie to read.
Mhm.
I've read it. I don't need to read
Yeah.
it again. Read it 1,000 times. We got the preview for Joker the World. We did Batman the World. It's kind of an anthology book where they just get everybody who wants to tell a little tale of the Joker to come in, and awesome enough, Jeff Johns and Jason Fabak, Ghost
Mhm.
Machine's own, made the book as well, and Fabak made the cover. So this might be their last DC work, as you pointed out, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I think it is.
So that's pretty cool. So be on the lookout for that if you're interested in that. And then they add a little freebie for the kids, the Wayne Family Adventures, which is a webtoon kind of thing or something. I don't even know what that means.
Yep. And then they had Detective Comic number 27. They had both the regular blank cover and they had a foil cover done in the original size from 1939. So
Yeah. And then they had 2 reprints for
Right.
Batman Elmer Fudd, which is a phenomenal story. DC did this crossover with Looney Tunes where you had like there were just one superhero and one Looney Tune together in a book, and they were all fun, lighthearted, just wacky little adventures. And then there was this one.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
one is none of those things. This one
I
is a serious, dark tone. The Looney Tune characters are portrayed as human with exaggerated features, almost like Dick Tracy villains.
Right.
Like Bugs Bunny is a bar back at a bar with buck teeth and stuff, and that's why he's got the nickname Bugs. And Elmer Fudd is out looking for a dame, and you get this old detective noir feel. And this is a phenomenal one shot right here. So I picked this one up for the Legion loot because I have the book, but
I bought the black and white one, the noir version.
See, I thought about that too, but I'm like, I'm getting it to give away.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go the color version because I know some people get hung up on that kind of stuff. And then lastly, they had a hardback Batman Day special edition for Batman One Bad Day Riddler. So that looked amazing with the Bolland artwork on it and stuff. But dude, people say what you will, Tom King crushes some stuff, and it was crazy seeing how represented he was with these stories. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Detective Comics 27, the twist ending was crazy. The rich guy Commissioner Gordon was talking to at the beginning of the story ended up being that Batman guy. Did not see it coming.
Right.
ABX has been covered on the freebies once I paper my stuff in about a week. Nice. Okay, that way, glad you didn't miss out, homie.
And the good thing on Detective Comics 27 too, by the way, if you're interested in it, it's the entire issue. It's not just the Batman story, because the Batman story is really only like 6 or 8 pages at the most, and then the rest of it is like Slam Bradley and other.
Oh, Slam Bradley, that was another good Tom King story not long ago. Gotham Year One. Yep. And I did pick up a slab because it's Batman Day this week or this month. It's his birthday. You got Transformers 1 releasing. So I picked up this ratio variant for Void Rivals #1, which is the birth of the Energon universe, the start of the current Transformers stuff over at Image in a 9.8. And this is going in the Legion loot as well. So I was able to pick up some Legion loot goodness stuff.
Nice.
To put in there. And I also got some, again, that Ian Bertram I got to go in there.
Oh, okay.
That's wicked cool. I picked up Mark Spears Monsters because it's a brand new series from all-star artist Mark Spears. It's his own stuff, and that's just wicked cover. I couldn't not get it. And then again, celebrating the Energon stuff, Daniel Warren Johnson did another cover. The 10th print for Void Rivals came out. And got that Jetfire cover holding Solara there. Just thought that was freaking gorgeous. And people keep talking about this Gromit's book. So I grabbed a copy of Gromit's #1. God, what is the guy's name? Brian Posen. He's an actor, funny guy.
Okay.
You would recognize him if you saw him. But his book. A lot of people are still talking up on that. So that's going to be in there. And of course, the 30th anniversary chromed out cover for 0 Hour, amongst other things, and the Big Time Collectibles exclusive. So it's gonna be a good channel member giveaway this month for sure.
It's always every month is packed.
I try to keep it themed, try to keep it relevant. It's not always easy. Oh, it's not for me. It's for lucky channel members going home with all that. And again, the channel member giveaway is for the first Sundays. So for September, it'll be October 6th. October 6th will be the drawing for the Legionnaires. Just make sure you are in the Legion tier, and you'll be automatically put on that wheel. Let's see. You want to dive into some of these books?
Sure.
Yeah, somebody will be happy. I hope so. Yeah. Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. So I picked up this one. I missed this, by the way. I missed this last week when it came out, but I went back and got that Francis Manifold cover for Geiger. Geiger, by the way,
just won a Ringo.
Just won a Ringo Award for Best Series. Geiger Ground Zero at Image Comics.
And that's not named after Ringo Starr. That's named after Mike Waringo.
Equally awesome, I hope. All right. What do you want to talk about first here, Paul?
Did you read Jenny Sparks?
I did. This was fantastic.
Yeah. And the
Yeah,
artwork is incredible.
brand new Black Label series. It's our second issue. Tom King and Jeff Spokes on the art. This was amazing.
Yeah, it was basically we start with Jenny Sparks basically being dead and buried. She's got to get out. But if you recall, last issue, Captain Adam is kind of going through some sort of a god complex thing that's going on. And so he has, and there were 5 different people that were highlighted throughout the issue, and they all happen to be in a bar together when Captain Adam walks in, and he's now holding them hostage. Um, that's where Jenny Sparks and Superman come into the scene.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool because you got Superman and Jenny watching from afar, trying to assess the situation. Superman telling her, like, I got the team on the way. They're not going to be here yet. Just play it cool. And neither one of them have faith in each other. And we also get to see Jenny wake up in the 21st century for the first time, unfortunately, because she wakes up on 9/11, having to deal with that. And then again, you see death and waking up at the burning of what was it, Notre Dame?
Yes. No. Yep.
Because she wakes up right there next to her grandfather and walks outside, and the cathedral's on fire. But it was good. It was pretty wild. Captain Adam is psycho. We actually get to see more. We spend more time with him in the bar. Everyone in there scared out of their mind, afraid to even move, and very Dr. Manhattan style. He just kind of disintegrates people out of existence, and then when Jenny goes in and starts talking to me, he brings them back. And I couldn't help but think how awesome of a scene that was. You really kind of get into the shoes of that poor sucker. Because when he comes back, he's just completely out of it and scared. But I can't wait to see where this goes. I don't understand why timing wise they're doing this with Captain Adam, because it reminds me of how DC didn't want to let Alan Moore take on the Charlton characters and do Watchmen because they wanted to use them and they didn't want to like drag their names through the mud before they introduce them and try to sell them. And now we get this story with Captain Adam right before Justice League Unlimited. So I'm very, very curious where this is going to go, and also curious where it is time-wise.
Right.
Like, are we in 2001? Or are we in like a couple years ago with the cathedral on fire? So
Doesn't seem like it's 2001 because Superman mentioned Wally being off. So it seems as though
2001.
Yeah.
Has to be more recent than that. What is going on? Megatron is here. What is up, homie? Yeah, well, solid. Another solid one I enjoyed this week was Spirit of Vengeance. You know, Marvel can't keep a title running for too long. They got to change the name of it, and for whatever reason, you know, we did Benjamin Percy's Ghost Rider for a while. Then they kept it going, but changed the name to Ghost Rider: The Final Vengeance or something. Enjoyed it the whole way through, and now they changed it to Spirit of Vengeance. I thought this was going to be a one shot because a couple of years ago we did Spirit of Vengeance one shot, and you get Vengeance, which I love Vengeance because I love comics from the 90s. And in this we get that. We get the return of Vengeance, kind of get an idea of where he's been. We know where he's been if you read the last one. And it looks like this is going to be the new ongoing, which I'm excited about, that they're dragging Vengeance up out of hell to bring him into the story. So I'm really excited for this. It's kind of just the awakening of Vengeance. It seems like he's been kind of dormant with his skull being like present on farmer's property who didn't know what to do with it, and he was aware of what it was, so just kind of lets it set there, and every now and then something kind of triggers it, and he'll awaken for a brief stint, realize what he is and who he is, and then just be depowered and just be drained. But because of events in this, there's enough injustice happening around him that he's able to stay powered enough to realize that he's hostless and that his host is being held captured. So the spirit of literally Vengeance is out to go save Michael from whatever predicament he's in, but Michael can feel the spirit is awake and he's trying to call out to it not to come, that it's a trap. So it looks like a cult is after the Spirit of Vengeance, and yeah, definitely in for it. Watching from Cybertron, hell yeah, that's pretty violent. Yo, Megatron, did you see Transformers 1? We were talking that a little bit earlier. Hope you get a chance to see it. It was fantastic. What else you got, Paul? I know you don't do the Ghost Rider stuff.
No, the only one I did was Dark Knights of
Yes.
Steel.
Yes.
And
DC's Elseworlds.
that little kid Alec is pretty powerful.
He is. Yeah. Following the death of Slade's ex-wife, Slade and Alec are traversing this frozen tundra in this all winter, trying to get to somewhere for something. They're trying, I don't really know where he thinks he's going or what he thinks he's doing. He's just running away from the dangers that's behind him. And along the way, they cross paths with none other than the prince himself, Batman.
Yeah. As much as I love the story, which I do love the story, I just love the whole color palette of this story. How basically everything is kind of muted, very muted, almost like sepia tone or whatever, kind of
Mm-hmm.
for everything except for anything that's going on around Alec, who, for those who don't know, is the boy in the story who is obviously Alec Holland and Swamp Thing, and so is. Um, when he explodes, the green explodes, and that's when you get he is always in color. Things in his immediate vicinity are in color. When he explodes, everything turns into color. Um, and then, I mean, as much as I love that, the backup story is being drawn by Riccardo Federici.
Before we get to that, because that
Yeah.
before we get to that, so there's technically two stories in this. This is the Dark Knights of Steel Elseworld. So we get All Winter, which is taking place in a different part of this kingdom, if you will. Like if Dark Knights of Steel took place in Westeros, All Winter is in Essos, and that's an actual spell that is over this area of this land where everything is literally color muted. It's a spell of a sort. And Alec Holland, this kid Swamp Thing that isn't Swamp Thing yet, is the only thing that's in color. And we realize that they're very disjointed places because Batman, or he's not even Batman per se, but Prince Wayne
Mhm.
comes into play, and they don't know each other. They doesn't understand why everything's muted and all this. And we had a cool fight and everything, but I thought that was awesome to actually place set a little bit that Dark Knights of Steel and All Winter are not close, and the events of one are not affecting the
Right.
other, because that was a wicked battle for the kingdoms, the three kingdoms and stuff in Dark Knights of Steel. And it's crazy to think that all of this is happening over here separate. And I couldn't help but feel like this is Essos, where you have like the kingdoms and the kings and the queens. Over here, you have like the Vikings and the people just pillaging from place to place. And I thought that was a great dynamic that they introduced. And definitely excited to see where it goes from here. But this issue really played to just Slade and Alec figuring out we're gonna work together, kind of
Right.
thing. I'm gonna keep you safe. We're gonna figure out what happens. But the second story is what I'm loving, and it's not just for the art, but it's called Heir to Atlantis. So we're getting an Aquaman story. We're getting an Aquaman comic, and this is our third installment. And the first one, they kind of introduce the idea of warring kingdoms. It's the introduction of Atlantis to the Dark Knights of Steel universe, and we have the crazy twist that it's Black Manta,
Right.
like leading the attack, and I think he's doing it for who was Atlanta's husband? God, what was her husband's name?
King Volko.
I think Volko was Dolph Lundgren, wasn't it?
Maybe.
I can't remember, but she's trying to get away from him. Tidal waves washing over people, and Jonathan and Martha Kent are warriors on the team fighting against Atlantis. They get washed out, barely survive, try to save this baby that they see trapped underwater drowning. Turns out it's no baby. That's the heir to Atlantis. It's Arthur. So in this issue, you get the whole watchtower scene. You get Alana mortally wounded, passing her kid off, but not to Arthur's father, to Jonathan and Martha Kent, who are warriors on the other side, who are tired of fighting and dying for someone else's cause, and they see a better way and an out in this kid. They're given some Atlantis gold, so they're set for life, and you kind of see what they look like post this war, where they're trying just to live happily ever after on their farm. And it looks like as Arthur is getting older and going into town, you're seeing his powers are starting to develop, and he's been noticed. And they also have been being watched this whole time, so it looks like doom and gloom is on the rise for the Kent family and poor old Arthur Kent. I can't. It's the rise of Aquaman.
Exactly. Yeah.
But what a creative way to do it.
Yeah, and that's and we've talked about how I know you're not a big fan of Tom Taylor's monthly series, but When he creates or recreates these universes, that's we've said many times on the show that he seems to be at his best when he's allowed to create a universe from scratch, and
Yeah.
kind of that's really kind of his forte. It seems like.
Yeah, kind of remember it's that seven what was it? Seven something? It was at Boom
Yep.
Studios.
Yep.
And it was 100% his own creator own thing. It was one of the coolest things I read. Like, yeah, when
Mm,
he's got the greatest ideas, only limited by editorial.
right.
Only limited by editorial. If you read Dark Knights of Steel, put on the Game of Thrones soundtrack. You could. But it was fantastic, and I can't say it enough. We need an Aquaman series. It's criminal that we still haven't gotten one. I've been reading off-brand Aquaman series any chance I get for years now.
Mhm.
Void Song and what was it, Double Trouble or Deep
Yeah.
Trouble or
Yep.
something. If
Aquaman and
if
Green Arrow, Aquaman
if
and
you
Flash.
make a book with Aquaman, I'm going to get it. There's not
Right.
enough of them. It drives me crazy. He should be like a front running character. It just blows my. Is he even on the JLU team?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Hmm.
Probably not. The fact that we don't know is sad. I gotta look now. Did you have any other books this week?
That was it.
Wow,
Besides
small week for
besides the
Paul.
absolute power ones. So
Small week for you. Justice League Unlimited, of course, is bringing up
the
the
series,
TV
the
show.
TV
Yeah.
show.
So, like, you try to look up the absolute stuff, you get hardbacks. You try to look up the new Justice League comic, you get a TV show. That's the only downside of running over these existing names. Yo, he's not even on the team, man. Good God. You got Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Captain Marvel, uh, Superman and Superwoman, Power Girl, Star Sapphire, Green Arrow, Damian, Black Canary, Cyborg, Nightwing, Oracle, Flash, Poison Ivy, and Harley. That blows my mind. Wonder Woman and Batman all listed on this Justice League #1 Daniel Sampier foil. That's a crime.
Hmm.
That is a crime. No love. What is going on, Christina Payne? How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. I do have a couple more, and I do know that you didn't get that.
What is that? I do, but I get it in my monthly. Oh, yes, actually, I did get that. Yeah, that's what that ended with Justice Society of America, right?
Yeah, so this was
Yeah.
fantastic. We're on to the next story arc in World's Finest, which has been consistently one of the best monthly titles at DC for 31 straight months now. This is the Mark Waid created World's Finest, where it takes place in the unspecified time in the past. 100% canon, in continuity, but it can play fast and loose and tell any story it wants because it doesn't really ground itself at any specific time. It can when it wants to. It doesn't have to. It's done things like revisit Kingdom Come. It's done things like create brand new characters that went on to be the main villain in DC events and the main continuity stuff. So it's a massively important book. And if you caught on to our sadness when we reviewed Justice Society #11, where it felt rushed, it felt like they knew they were ending it, and they started wrapping up a fight between the Legion of Superheroes and the Justice Society that was just introduced, and they threw Eclipso in there out of nowhere, who should be like an alpha level villain, and they solved the Eclipso problem in 3 issues. You felt cheated. You felt massively cheated. Mark Waid's here to save the day. We're getting the next story arc, which these typically go for about 6 issues or so. They feel like events when he does this.
Mhm.
They bring Eclipso in, like his old host is doing some experiments on light properties and trying to study light because of his experiences with Eclipso and stuff. And Eclipso, trapped inside the diamond, finds a little loophole to get out and infect the Justice League on the Watchtower, so he's free. And a total Eclipso is now underway. Can't wait to dive into more of it. And the ending of this, Paul, like I did an audible hail yes and threw the book down and everything.
Yeah, it ends with basically, the Justice League couldn't take care of it, so we will, and it's the Justice Society of America, basically.
Yeah, the
So
Justice
that's
League
where it
got in
ends.
immediately, got all infected right off the bat. And who was it that went to him for help? Was it Batman and Superman?
Well, it was yeah. Basically, what happened is they're in the old headquarters, satellite headquarters, 22,300 miles above Earth. I'll never forget that.
The
Um,
Watchtower.
exactly. And they're basically there to to get a bird's eye view. Besides the fact that it's their headquarters, they're there to get a bird's eye view of an eclipse. And so they're all viewing this eclipse, and as soon as the eclipse happened, they turn around, and suddenly Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and Black Canary are now Eclipsos. And so that's where it all starts. And it just amps up
the Red Tornado, being an android,
Yeah,
doesn't get
right.
affected, but it gets heavily damaged. And when the watchtower blows up, he lands on the steps of the brownstone,
Mhm.
crawls inside, and the JSA call out, yeah, we'll take
Right.
it from here, kind of thing. That last page was a moment. That sounds like a job for the Justice Society as they're picking up Red Tornado, who belongs with the JSA. If you ask me,
Right.
he's not JLA. Don't need him. He's a JLA-er.
He's not my uncle, but he's still the Red Tornado.
Yeah, I know he first appeared in Justice League, but the Red Tornado first appeared in All Star. So,
Right.
I believe so. At least she was there for the All Star #3, the founding of the JSA. It was fantastic.
Yeah, she basically wore a pot on her head.
Literally.
Yeah.
Heroes for Hire says it's his favorite DC book right now.
Nice.
Brother John jumped in the chat. What is up, homie? Megatron on Dark Energon, known as Crack. What is going on? Hope you're doing good. Jeremy's up in the building. How are you doing today? How are you doing? And then I did pick up The Incredible Hulk. I'm loving Philip Kennedy Johnson's run. I'm not liking the shift in the artist. I know a lot of people get so hung up on that and say it like it's like the end of the world. There's been a few fill-in artists. There's been a fill-in artist for a few issues. And yes, it's not Nick Klein. It's not as good. It doesn't affect the story. The story's still rocking and rolling. And I loved going back to the Hulk 1 million BC thing that they did and tied it to this big villain. This now that the green door is shut, the OG monsters are coming back out to try to take position over the Hulk. And he finally comes face to face with Eldis in this one. He's trying to save the life of a little human companion named Charlie, who was introduced in the first issue and stuff. And she's in a bad way. Like, she's dead. And there's a little totem that she was made into, like, out of her bone and stuff. And that's all that remains of her. And he's trying to get her back some way, somehow, through all this dark magic and monster stuff. And he comes face to face finally with the entity that's behind all of it. Then you see the reveal of what that entity looks like. And it was given a choice, like, you relinquish the Hulk to me and you can have her back. Otherwise, that's it. So the end of the issue is him relinquishing the power of the Hulk to the eldest and being imprisoned in chains. And we'll see where it goes from here. Nick Klein was on the issue. He's been back on it for a while. It's been fantastic. And as a reminder, this is the series that they introduced Ghost Rider 44 in. Uncle Sal, the World War II Ghost Rider, he's about to get his own series with Sergeant Fury, Wolverine, Bucky, and him on a 4-man team called Hell Drivers or something like that. Hell Divers, something like that. But it looks fantastic. If Ghost Rider's there, I'm going to be there to check it out for sure. But be on the lookout for Incredible Hulk #6 in back issue bins. It's the first appearance of a Ghost Rider that is getting continuously used in comics now. And if there's one thing I like to collect, it's first appearance of Ghost Riders. But luckily, I have that one. And I feel like I'm feeling the urge to get a slabbed one now. It's probably a bad time to get one. All right. And the last book I got for this week is the final issue of Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I know no one wants to hear about this. I'm going to tell you about it. It's my show. I love this stuff. This is a book. It was a 6-issue miniseries called Select's Journey. It takes place immediately after the battle in the first film. And how all the different tribes came to the battle. He was the sole survivor of his tribe. So he went on a spiritual walkabout, going through like PTSD and all the trauma of like what he witnessed and losing everyone he knew and loved. And he was going tribe to tribe, and you learn so much about these different tribes and like pretty much like a single concept that is the foundation to their entire tribe. And in this last issue, all of these things that he's learned has taken him to where he is, where he's having to break out of an RDA facility. And he's pretty much like a teetotal badass now. He's got it all. He's got everything. And he comes across like a group of defectors that are hiding in the woods at a facility that are fighting back against the corporation. Because, there's the bad guy humans and the good guy humans that work with the Na'vi in the films, and they're lost. They don't know what to do. They're at the point where they're pretty much going to die, left to their own devices. They can't beat out this entire corporation. So it ends with him choosing to lead them. Now that he has all these skills, this is his purpose. And it's one of those, like, we don't we don't get to choose our destiny all the time. We just follow its path kind of deal. It was a great story. And I stand on the best coloring work all year long I've seen in comic books has been in this. Great story. If you're an Avatar fan, it's definitely worth your time. It's very wholesome to see you happy about the Hulk. We were all very happy for you. I have the same thing with Ryan North on Fantastic Four right now. There you go.
And they are Ryan North coming to Lower Decks Comics. So.
Oh, nice. Nice. My shop didn't have the new Avatar. Oh yeah, I forgot you've been reading it. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I've read all of the Avatar comics, and out of them, this is probably, I'd say, my second favorite. Yeah, those hardbacks that they did at the release, about the time that they released the new film, Dark Horse did 3 hardbacks. They're only available in hardbacks. Those were amazing. And I think it's probably as you get to follow Jake Sully and his family more, so you're a little more invested in them. But it bridges a lot of that time gap. A lot of years between the first movie and the second movie. He has a whole family by then. But yeah, really cool. Good stuff. Books I have not read. Destro, my copy of Mark Spears Monsters. I don't know how many people remember this book, but it is back. This is James Herron and Dave Stewart. Ultra Mega.
Ultra Mega, yeah.
Crazy good book that came out years ago. There was a 4-issue series. Kaiju show up on Earth, and there's a kaiju defense response for Earth, and it's violent, it's wild, it's crazy, and this isn't a new volume. It's just 4 years later, issue 5. Like, let's go. I refuse to go back and reread them. I'm going to see if they do. I haven't even opened it. I'm going to see if they do it justice, and keep in mind that it's been 4 years since we got it. But I'm excited for it. I'll read those tomorrow night. Pumped for it. Well, you got anything else you want to hit before we dip?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, as a reminder, everybody, the DC Deep Dive tomorrow at 10 a.m. Get caught up with Absolute Comics over on Sector 2815, Wednesday night at 9:30, live with the Guess That Key this week. DJ Links and Rob's Fat Sacks will be on with myself and, of course, Paul over on his channel. It's a special Comics Curing Cancer edition. And then, of course, there's content coming out on my channel Monday, Wednesday, and a floating video outside of that. Plus, the new DC Day live stream is 2 p.m. every Tuesday right here. Come hang out, enjoy your lunch hour, and win some free books. And then Friday morning is the Legion Lair open hangout for the community. If you want to come on, just hang out in the chat or hop on panel, talk all things, whatever you want to.
And check out his Instagram to keep up and see how many times you can have 2 standout stands put together.
Yeah.
Superior standout stands.
Yeah, they've been trying for a while to do that, so I'm starting to share those things. see if they get some traction. See if we get some traction. But that's going to be it for tonight. I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up on the way out if you haven't already. It helps from what I understand. And until next time, as always, we are Legion.
Is that it? Is that all you got?